Hello everybody, David Abram. Welcome back to my channel as always. And for today's video, I wanted to discuss the topic among my fellow Red Pillars in MGTOW, the topic of morality. And I ask this question to any MGTOW or any newcomers watching. Is it really worth being moral anymore in this current system of things? Specifically the Western society. Does it pay off to be moral anymore? And I ask this question because me personally, before I learned about MGTOW and before I learned about the Red Pill, it seemed as though I was always instilled the idea, or this idea, that if I was moral and always did what I knew to be right, or supposedly knew to be right, that it would pay off in the end and I would get a reward of some sort. And that reward would be the gratitude of others and the acceptance of others, or something along those lines. But, after learning about MGTOW and the Red Pill and really finding out the truth behind feminism, as well as how the family structure was being broken down and annihilated, it made me question, does it really pay off to be moral? Is it worth sticking your neck out for that special somebody who they supposedly say is your ideal woman or your match? Is it really worth it? With all the corrupt divorce laws and biased court systems, corrupt rulings, and no-fault divorces, what is it, like 78 to 80% of divorces initiated by women? Is it really worth sticking your neck out anymore? And my answer to that is, I don't think it's worth it anymore, gentlemen. It's almost like nowadays, under this current system that we live in the Western world, North America, and Europe, and even other places outside of the West, I mean, when you've got no-fault divorces popping up all over the place, and men who have basically no reproductive rights whatsoever, yet they contribute to a child's upbringing in the sense of paying for children. In some cases, they can't even get to, they don't even get to see. Is it really worth being moral? I mean, you've been told from the time you were, 4 years old or so, 5 years old, that the proper and moral thing to do for a society was to, anytime you need women like nice men, which we know this isn't the case. They want a nice man, a man who is loyal, gentle, and basically soft, and basically they wanted a nice guy. But when we look around, we don't really see that anymore. I've never seen it, at least not after the Red Pill. And I question, does it pay to be moral when you know a system will ultimately screw you over in the end? It's almost in a sense that nowadays failure is rewarded, which is single motherhood. If you've ever watched the media, you'll notice they always glorify single mothers. They idolize them. They're heroic, and they put them on a pedestal. Like that is such a noble thing to do. You go, girl. You don't need a man. You don't have a man. And you're better off without him. And apparently this seems to be the case at times when they're collecting alimony and government subsidies from a big daddy government like our own. And I question, is it really worth it? And if you guys have any thoughts on this, do feel free to elaborate in the comment sections below. But just think about it. In a nutshell, what's really happening is this government, or this system of things, is rewarding failure, which is no-fault divorce, single motherhood, and children born without a fatherly figure, and punishing success, which are men who stay in the school, they study, make a good six-figure salary, or if not six-figure salary, just earn a decent income, want to find a special someone, take that special somebody in, reach out and lend an extending hand, play provider, and in the end they get fucked over. They're punishing success and rewarding failure in essence. And This is what the red pill has really taught me from a MGTOW perspective and a MGTOW viewpoint. And as a man who's taken the red pill, it doesn't really pay off to be moral. At least not in a world which rewards failure and punishes success. And if somebody were to ask me what the red pill really was about, in part, it would somewhat have to be about morality. And morality and truth. Because as MGTOWs, we do talk about biology to some extent. And we know that biology has no morals to it. We know that women, regardless of whatever man they're with or whatever they may see in that man, if they want something more, they will go for more and discard the man whenever they feel it's to their benefit. That's why we have divorce rates initiated by women for the most part. This really tells us a lot about society's views on men, and that men, no matter how much they produce, no matter how much they work, no matter how much they invent, no matter how innovative and captivating they are disposable in the end. And this is why, in my theory, as a MGTOW, it doesn't really pay off to be moral anymore. At least not in the sense of reaching out a lending hand to a special someone, taking them in, and sharing your life with them. At least in the long-term route, it doesn't really pay off anymore. Maybe it did at some point in the distant past, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s, before the second wave feminist movement came to power. But really, everything post-second wave, it's just been obsolete. I think the era of beta providers and the era of simps, well, there'll probably always be simps, but for the most part, I think the era of beta male providers is, in the near future, or the not too distant future, is going to come to a halt. And marriage rates are going to drop even further than what they already have, and rightfully so in my opinion, because it's really not even worth trying anymore, to be honest. I remember Aaron Clary, even though he isn't very popular in the manosphere at this point with MGTOW, he once stated, out of 100 women, only maybe 1, 2, or 3 of them may actually be worth a long-term committed relationship material, aka marriage. So what that really says is there's only a 1 to 3% chance you find a special someone. Now, can any man sit there with a straight face and say to another man, that's worth it? I couldn't, especially after the red pill. I couldn't sit with a straight face to face with another man and tell him that is worth an endeavor and that's worth his pursuit. Even if he thinks it is worth it, I couldn't tell him that's worth it. The best thing I would tell him to do is just, if you want to pursue that, be my guest, but just realize it's all conditional, and the chances of you actually running across that right match, as they quote, is slim to none. I don't really think there is a right match. But I'm digressing. Nonetheless, does it pay to be moral? I don't think it does. At least not in the sense of the rat race. But what are you guys' thoughts on this as MGTOW, or as newcomers to MGTOW? Do you agree, disagree? Do you think I'm spot on? And if you have any comments or takes on this, please do feel free to leave it in the comments sections below. I do read these comments, and I like to get conversations going, so that's all I got for now. And until the next time, cheers. Thanks for watching.